Hare Krishna, welcome to our channel, Bhagavad-gita, here it is. Because we have it, Bhagavad-gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. My name is Labanga Latika. We are reading from the 13th chapter. We have a cluster of verses, the 8th to the 12th, that I've been going through for a couple of times because I'm reading Prabhupada's purport, and it is rather long, so I don't want to just skim over it. So today we will start where we ended the last time. Stay with us.
Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalang.
Here is a lot of lovely Sanskrit with all sorts of interesting terms that we may or may not understand, but fortunately we also have the translation. Amanitvam adambhitvam ahimsa kshantirajam acharyopasanam shauchang stahiryamatma vinigraha indriyartisha vairagyam nahankara evacha janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha shanudarshanam asaktiranabhishvanga putradhara grihadishu nityang cha samachittatvam ishtanisto papattishu Mayi chananya yogena bhaktiravyapicharini viviktadesha sevitvam aratirjana sangsadi adhyatma jnana nityatvam tattva jnanarthadarshanam etachjnanam iti proktam ajnanam yadato nyatha. Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home and the rest. Even-mindedness amidst pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, Krishna. Aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these I declare to be knowledge, and besides this, whatever there may be, is ignorance. So, we will hear more about this knowledge. That is kind of new to us, because this isn't always how we view knowledge. So this is where we left off last time. As for detachment from children, wife and home, it is not meant that one should have no feeling for these. They are natural objects of affection. But when they are not favorable to spiritual progress, then one should not be attached to them. The best process for making the home pleasant is Krishna consciousness. If one is in full Krishna consciousness, he can make his home very happy, because this process of Krishna consciousness is very easy. One need only chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Accept the remnants of foodstuff offered to Krishna, have some discussion on books like Bhagavad-gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and engage oneself in deity worship. These four things will make one happy. One should train the members of his family in this way. The family members can sit down morning and evening and chant together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If one can mold his family life in this way to develop Krishna consciousness, following these four principles, then there is no need to change from family life to renounced life. But if it's not congenial, not favorable for spiritual advancement, then family life should be abandoned. One must sacrifice everything to realize or serve Krishna, just as Arjuna did. Arjuna did not want to kill his family members, but when he understood that these family members were impediments to his Krishna realization, he accepted the instruction of Krishna and fought and killed them. In all cases, one should be detached from the happiness and distress of family life, because in this world one can never be fully happy or fully miserable. Yes, Well, let's start with the elephant in the room. No, Krishna consciousness does not mean that we kill our family members. This is a very extreme case. But it is in the Bhagavad-gita, and we are reading the Bhagavad-gita. The historical position of Arjuna was such that the whole world had somehow or another come to the point where there was no return, especially as a Kshatriya. So this happened. There was a battle, and there were members of the family, teachers, friends on both sides. So it was a tough situation. This is usually not the kind of tough situation we face, but watching Arjuna's struggle and also Arjuna's enlightenment and realization from Krishna's instructions can be applicable in any situation. But we are not supposed to kill people for Krishna. I mean, that is not the normal situation. So the description here is also... Yeah, I like that. When Prabhupada speaks about Krishna consciousness, he does it in a realistic way. How are we going to be Krishna conscious in this world? And then we read something like detachment from children, wife, home, and the rest. It doesn't mean one should not have feeling for this. So Krishna consciousness is a process for developing our love for Krishna. So Krishna consciousness means more love, not less love. But our understanding of love is often a little bit illusory. We have these ideas. All love is good. But what does love mean? Love does not mean lust, for instance. You know, man and a woman, or sometimes we have this, how to say, these problems when people are attracted. I'm not saying it's a problem, but it can be a difficult situation. You're attracted to someone of the same sex, and then we want to defend that and say all love is good love. The point is we need to be able to distinguish between lust and love. So lust is one thing, but the other part, the companionship, the caring for each other, the supporting each other, is of course love. It should be love. It's not always love. Because we're in this world when we use the word love for everything. We use the word love for God, and we have love for our husband or wife. We have love for our children. And we also love strawberry ice cream. Well, the strawberry ice cream does not benefit from this kind of love, because this is just a very one-sided idea for my enjoyment. So that's the kind of love we actually need to give up. The proper love, if you can say like that, when you care about another person and you have an exchange of affection, that we don't need to give that up. But the thing is, when we develop love for Krishna, that spiritual love for God is bigger. If we are able to see everybody as a part of Krishna, then we can care for them even in a more selfless way without becoming used or abused ourselves. Because sometimes if you enter into a relationship in a very selfless way and the other person isn't selfless in the same way, that is also not healthy, that is also not balanced. So the main balance in a Krishna conscious relationship is that Krishna is in the center. And if we can approach Krishna together and serve him together, then our own love and respect and affection and responsibility will also grow. And without that, well, some people are good with these relationships and some people are not very good. So by adding Krishna, we make it better. And then sometimes, of course, it happens. It's not even unusual. It happens all the time. One person has managed to come to that crossroad in life where they start to look at reality from this point of view of eternity and wondering, who am I? What is the meaning of life? And maybe they get hold of a Bhagavad-gita. Maybe they start to hear the Hare Krishna mantra and start to feel spiritually uplifted. And their family hates it. And What happened to you? Can you not come back and be normal with us? And what is this? And it is all bad. And these people that you are hanging with, they are all weird and crazy. I mean, it's very difficult to live in such a situation. For once, from the spiritual perspective, it is difficult to progress in spiritual life when you have to, how to say, when you don't have like-minded association. And even from the material point of view, that's not very respectful, is it? You know, if you love me and you see that this is something that's important to me, maybe you cannot fully follow me, but you know, if you loved me, you should respect me and you should support me. And if that respect and support is not there, not only is it actually detrimental to the human relationship, but it's also very harmful for the spiritual relationship. So it does happen that when a person's spiritual Krishna consciousness starts to wake up, they find themselves in a situation where they realize they don't have anything in common with their family. And then some form of distancing may have to happen. But it's not because of the Krishna consciousness. It is because the other person in the relationship does not have that deep respect. So there is that. But honestly, if you can add a little Krishna to your family life, even if it's not perfect, you know, what is not perfect, the Krishna consciousness or the relationship? Well, both. Nothing is perfect in this world. We start to take up Krishna consciousness, we do our best. We're in a relationship, we do our best. We're not perfect, but if we can add Krishna to it, and Prabhupada gives a very practical description. We can sing and chant Hare Krishna together. We can cook our foods and offer it to Krishna. We can read and discuss together the scriptures. And, you know, if there are small children, maybe it's easier to read stories about Krishna. But if you're grown-ups, we can, you know, read the philosophy together and discuss it together. You know, even if it's not so that one is the teacher and one is learning, just by hearing together and discussing together, it's very inspiring. And it's possible to do. It doesn't have to, you know, take a very long time. What else? One can even have deities at home to worship, which I'm not going to exactly describe here. I will accept questions. Of course, as usual, there's a space for questions below. And also, if you have a local Hare Krishna temple, I'm sure you can get some help with that. It is recommended to bring Krishna into the home and to center your life around Krishna. So all these things can be added a little bit at a time, and it will be good. Your family will be good for your spiritual life, and your spiritual life will be good for your family if you can do it together. Happiness and distress are concomitant factors of material life. One should learn to tolerate, as advised in Bhagavad-gita. One can never restrict the coming and going of happiness and distress, so one should be detached from the materialistic way of life and be automatically equipoised in both cases. Generally, when we get something desirable, we are very happy, and when we get something undesirable, we are distressed. But if we are actually in the spiritual position, these things will not agitate us. To reach that stage, we have to practice unbreakable devotional service. Devotional service to Krishna without deviation means engaging oneself in the 9 processes of devotional service, chanting, hearing, worshipping, offering, respects, etc., as described in the last verse of the 9th chapter. That process should be followed. So yes, we're staying on the realistic track here. In this material world, happiness and distress cannot be avoided, because they come. We read that earlier in the Bhagavad-gita, like summer and winter season. We cannot do anything about it, so they have to be tolerated. So of course we do a little bit about it. In the winter we put on some extra clothes and we turn on the heating. In the summer we don't do that. We drink a little more extra cold water. So we do a little bit, but at the same time, I know some people prefer winter. I don't fully understand it. personally, I think summer is the natural stage of affair, at least in a place like Sweden. That's the time when life is normal. So anyway, I cannot hibernate through winter. I once tried. I was very young. I thought, I don't like this winter. I will sleep through it. But it was not possible. So yeah, it's not possible. We cannot sleep through the winter because we are not bears. So summer and winter come, we will still wake up, we will still cook our food, we will still go to work, we will still chant Hare Krishna, and maybe we prefer one over the other, and that's natural. So maybe we prefer happiness over distress, that is also natural. But since from the Bhagavad-gita we can learn that this is not actually us, this is also based on karma. There's some good karma, there is some bad karma. We will experience some happiness, we will experience some distress. It's not even, sometimes we think it's connected, some things make us happy, some things make us sad. But it really doesn't work like that. Because sometimes these difficult things appear and we take them in stride and we're inspired and we go through them. And maybe it's a little difficult, but it doesn't give us sadness. And sometimes we have everything we want. And we tend to, mix those terms. We think happiness and enjoyment is the same. It is not the same. Enjoyment is something we experience with our senses. And happiness is like a little bit of a deeper thing inside. And sometimes it comes and sometimes it doesn't come. It is not dependent on the external factors. Of course, if the external factors are too difficult, when we're constantly in anxiety and we don't have enough money to eat, so we are constantly hungry, and we don't have anywhere to live, so we are constantly too tired, it's a little more difficult. But the understanding that these things are external, they are not us. It's difficult. It's actually a difficult realization. But it's interesting. And Krishna puts us on the right track by bringing this up and showing us that is what knowledge does to us. If we have that, then we have knowledge. If we don't have that, we may have memorized facts. But the deep knowledge comes from a realized place, and that deep realized knowledge will have these effects. And yes, it's good to know. And it's good to know that these things can actually come from our Krishna consciousness. And also, we can also a little bit look, how are we doing our Krishna consciousness? How far do we feel that these things are actually happening? So, we have read a little more of this enormous purport. And you are welcome to come back next time. And we will continue. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for watching. We aim for updates every Tuesday and Friday. Please come back. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down there. We also have some links and information for you. And there is, of course, the subscribe button. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I'm a Hare Krishna, and I approve this message. Subscribe.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare